All right, knocking down God's house. This is a critique of the beauty industry and diet culture from the Christian perspective. And today I'm going to be criticizing the air we breathe. So that's going to be challenging. The reason why we're doing this is it's born out of the last 3 years of our life, which we have battled an eating disorder in our home for the last 3 years. And the book has just come out. You can get it on Amazon or Kindle or Audible or whatever you like, or you can wait till the shipment comes and buy one from me if you want to. But that's where this sermon is coming from. It's coming from the angst and the struggle and the pain and the heartbreak of the last 3 years. So it's not like any sermon, I think, certainly not like any sermon I've ever heard, but I think it is a very important sermon for us to take in today. And before we do, though, I'm going to bring Tiki up here, and she is going to introduce the sermon however she likes. She has been the unwilling host. My dear daughter has been the unwilling host of a terrible monster. And so I feel it fitting that she say a few words at the beginning. So come on up here.
Okay, I have 2 things that I want to say. First thing, while this sermon is about diet culture and the beauty industry, eating disorders are not only about body image and food. There's a lot more behind that. So just wanted to get that out of the way first. And second is that something I've learned this summer volunteering at camp is that for the last couple of years, for me, the thing that I was making all of my decisions around was the eating disorder. And I mean, I didn't really have much of a choice. But over the summer, I've learned that the thing that I should be making my decisions around is my faith. And kind of that main path or stream that kind of guides everything I do. So I think this is kind of helpful. This sermon is going to illustrate how the diet culture and beauty industry can kind of lead us off that faith solidness.
Thank you, Tiki. As we start, God's house is just a metaphor for what the Christian faith is. If I was going to just summarize it briefly, I would do this. It starts with this idea, this conviction that you are wonderfully made. You are a product of beautiful design, and as a result, you go into this life with that conviction, and then you enjoy your life. And then you don't forget to say thanks to the giver of life, and finally, you say thanks especially to the Redeemer. I think that's a nutshell explanation of the good news, the gospel, how Jesus wants us to live. For example, you are wonderfully made. Psalm 139, 13 and 14 from the New Living Translation says, you made my whole being, you formed me in my mother's body. I praise you because you made me in an amazing and wonderful way. What you have done is wonderful. The psalmist is praising God because he's convinced that God has designed him, like the fact that you're here and that your brain works and your body works and that you're alive is like a gift from the Creator. And so this joy that comes up by the very fact that you exist is something that's like a foundational thought when it comes to believers. And then enjoy your life. Ecclesiastes 9:7 from the Message says, seize life, eat bread with gusto, drink wine with a robust heart. Oh yes, God takes pleasure in your pleasure. I love how that is translated. What makes the giver of a gift happiest? If you give somebody a gift, what makes you the happiest?
When the person likes it.
When the person likes it, they go crazy. They appreciate the gift. And when we look at our human existence, God has given us taste, touch, smell, sight, hearing, all of those things, all of those senses, those are God's gifts to you. And then when you appreciate something with your eyes, or you appreciate something with your taste or your hearing, you enjoy it, that actually makes God happy. And so we enjoy life. I think there's some religious perspectives out there which want us to think that if we're miserable, we're a good Christian. I don't agree. And Ecclesiastes 9:7 says God takes pleasure in your pleasure. Enjoy those gifts that God has given you and then reflect them back. Now, just before I play this clip, when I read Ecclesiastes 9:7 and eat your food with gusto and drink your drink with with vigor, I immediately thought of this movie clip. It's a very famous movie, so we'll play it here real fast.
How'd you get inside that cloud?
Also, how could you eat an entire box of Pop-Tarts and still be this hungry?
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
Sorry, Izzy, little accident.
What was that?
It was delicious. I want another.
Well, you could have just said so.
I just did.
No, I mean, ask nicely.
I meant no disrespect.
All right, well, no more smashing. Deal?
I have my word.
Good.
Oh, I love that clip. Now, here's the thing. There's one caveat with enjoying your life, right? You enjoy your life with one little boundary line, right? And that comes to us in Matthew 7:12. One caveat: do to others what you would like them to do to you. So we have Thor. He's enjoying the meal. He's eating it, and he's drinking it, and he's having all of this joy around the food and the drink. But then he smashes someone else's cup, right? And so that would be the boundary line, right? Someone else owned that cup. So when you're enjoying life, as a Christian, please do enjoy your life to the fullest, but don't smash other people or other people's things in the process. Fair enough? Sound okay? Okay. So that's the one caveat to enjoying life. Now, don't forget to say thanks. Psalm 69:30. Then I will praise God's name with singing. I will honor him with thanksgiving. And in all aspects of life, we do that. And I appreciated so much the song that reflected that a couple songs ago, where whether it's good or difficult, struggles or otherwise, we come from the position that we're wonderfully made. We enjoy our life, and however life unfolds, we reflect that gratitude back to God in thanks. And of course, for Christian people, the biggest thank you is Jesus, right? We believe that we thank God. He gives us the victory over sin and death through our Lord Jesus Christ. Right? God has come to us in the person of Jesus, and as a result, there's no mountain too high, no river too wide, no valley too deep, and no darkness too dark that we can't overcome, because we believe that Jesus is our Redeemer. Even the broken things he can redeem. And we may not understand it fully when we go through our difficulties, but we believe that, right? That's what I'm hoping for with this little book here. We've gone through 3 very terrible years, but maybe there's some redemption somewhere at some point. And so we continue to say thanks to Jesus because he pulls us through and pushes us forward and helps us along. That's what we believe. And so we don't forget to say thank you. And so here it is. You're wonderfully made. Enjoy your life with the one caveat. Don't smash other people's things and don't smash other people. And don't forget to say thanks, and especially to Jesus. Right? That's sort of the house of God in a nutshell. And so now we come to breaking down the house of God. There's a couple of bulldozers here that I think really destroy this vision of our existence as Christian people. And the first is the beauty industry. And immediately, everybody just say, what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm not talking about beauty, okay? Beauty exists everywhere. And we as Christians need to notice it and say thank you and reflect that gratitude back to God. So I'm not criticizing beauty. I'm criticizing the beauty industry, okay, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry that exists on primarily women's angst and discontent. And this industry is built on two rotten premises. Rotten premise number one is that women and men to a lesser degree, but it's usually focused on women, unfortunately. The first rotten premise is that a woman must never be fat. And premise number two is that a woman must never get old. You must never get old, and you must never get fat. How are you going to win at that game? You know, it's a rigged system. You're hooped. Okay? And so that's the beauty industry, and it has ruined a lot of lives. I'm just going to read just a little snippet from the book here. We've created an impossible standard of beauty that made women feel guilty for not achieving, and made women feel guilty for not achieving it. Now we can capitalize on that guilt by offering expensive, all-consuming beauty strategies. Science tells us that a healthy woman is comprised of about 30% fat. In previous eras, this distinctly feminine characteristic was fondly referred to as, do you know? The silken layer. If you had a good silken layer back in the day, that's good. Okay? Not anymore. Not anymore. It has become the arch enemy of beauty. Staggering numbers of women are slicing, suctioning, and starving it out of their bodies in a desperate attempt to rid themselves of what is fundamentally them. For those who don't have the money or the courage, profound sadness and self-loathing will have to do. If women wish to retain their societal value, they must maintain their youthful appearance at all costs. Naturally, capitalism jumps in on this culturally imposed terror, forcing women to spend billions of dollars in anti-aging creams, plastic surgeries, and fashion consultants. A plethora of effort, anguish, expense, and pain, all so women can stay forever young and never get fat. The beauty industry is rigged. And that's not good. Because what ends up happening is fundamentally you come to believe this about yourself. You are not wonderfully made. Something is wrong with you. There is a critical imperfection. Your hair is wrong, your eyes are wrong, your neck is wrong, your shoulders are wrong, your boobs are wrong, your butt is wrong, your thighs are wrong, your toes are wrong. Whatever it is, something is wrong with you. And you hold that guilt for your whole life. You are damaged. You're broken. You suck. You're ugly. You're fat in a pejorative sense. And so you are not wonderfully made. And God's house begins to get knocked down in your life. Number two, diet culture. Now really you're like, what? Like, what's the matter with the diet, Dennis? Like, come on, like just relax a little bit. Well, I can't, right? I've just gone through 3 very, very challenging years. Okay? So there's 3 damning lies that sort of make me feel like diet culture. And again, I look, for health, legitimate health reasons, unhealthy obesity, you might have to go on a diet, lose some weight. But I'm talking about diet culture. And diet culture, go ahead.
I just want to say that diets are actually not, like, if you want to lose weight, dieting is not the thing to do. It
Okay.
doesn't work. Just
Okay.
like putting that out there.
Yes.
Diets don't work.
Yes, and again, I'm using the diet word in a pejorative sense, but Tiki is bringing up, a lot of the things that she learned at LGR, where when you restrict your food intake and reduce it, it actually doesn't help in the long run. You may lose some and then you gain it back, and then it's just a bad cycle. Go ahead. The three damning lies that diet culture is based on is, number one, thin is healthy. That ain't true. That's not true. Fat is bad, and that's not true. We all need it desperately. Even if you want to live, you need to carry fat. They call it satiety now, but it is essential to your health. And number three, food is dangerous, very, very dangerous. You must be very selective. You have to vary. And so when these lies get into your mind, gosh, I got to be thin. I can't be fat. I've got to be very careful with what I eat because food is very dangerous. And these kind of thoughts start swimming around in your mind. Guess what happens? You cannot enjoy your life. God wants you to enjoy your life, but you can't. I can't have that cake. I can't do this. I've got to be constantly monitoring myself. I have, because there's a certain look, a certain image, a certain ideal look that I must achieve for some reason to be accepted, whatever it is. And this was a major problem with Tiki. She had something called a Fitbit. Have you ever heard of those? And so they constantly measure everyone's got one. They constantly measure everything, right? Including the body mass index, which is a very, very simplistic way to determine whether you're overweight or not. And so one day when Tiki was 15, it beeped. You're overweight. The BMI does not take into account for human uniqueness. It doesn't consider body structure, genetics, race, age, gender, and muscle mass. And all of these things are essential factors when determining a healthy weight. And professionals know this, but because it's a simple thing and it's a generally okay. But the Kite sisters in their book, More Than a Body, remark about the BMI with stinging bitterness. It might be misleading and ineffective, but hey, it's cheap and easy. And so, unfortunately, it caused my 15-year-old girl, naturally inclined to be sensitive about her appearance, was easily misled. Tiki was not even close to an unhealthy weight. She was in perfect physical condition for her body shape, gender, age, and size. But her young, impressionable mind fixated on this horrific possibility. And thanks to the contraption attached to her wrist, blinking out false warning signals, she went down the rabbit hole. You cannot enjoy life if this is sort of the world you live in, the air that you breathe. You know? There's one other one that I have to bring up. Bad religion. And bad religion is something that exists. You can only be thankful if you look a certain way. You can only be thankful if you look a certain way. And this sort of religious perspective kind of circles back around to the core beliefs of the beauty industry and diet culture, and it just ruins us from a religious point of view. Wonderful. And so what happens here, I just got to tell you a little bit of backstory. The health and wealth gospel in the late 1800s, early 1900s, mid 1900s, before medical science really kind of found its feet, a lot of people would go to what's called faith healers, right? If you had cancer, diabetes, a broken leg, whatever it is, and you'd get whacked on the head, prayed over, and hopefully delivered, right? But then science, medical science, you didn't need to go to the faith healer for your diabetes. You just needed to go and get an insulin shot and you were fine. And so faith healers in the health and wealth gospel movement decided that they needed to pivot, right? Because they were going to go extinct. They needed to pivot. And so what happened is there was a focus, a targeted focus. We're not going to deal with the demon of diabetes. Instead, we're going to tackle the demon of fat. God wants his children not only to act a certain way, but also to look a certain way. The godly would be slim and good looking. Fat was a demon, a snare, and an undeniable sign that your faith was lacking. Many of these megachurches spent millions of dollars developing world-class fitness centers on their sprawling campuses. Pressure to purchase expensive memberships increased along with the ferocity of the sermons. To be fat was to turn your back on God, and the quickest way to lose fat was not to eat at all. If you follow my plan for fasting, I guarantee that your prayer returns will jump from 30-fold to 100-fold, said one pastor. Pat Robertson traded in his suit for a pair of sweatpants and started pushing his power shakes, guaranteeing healthy and successful life if taken in faith. And the Hunter family proclaimed, "Fat people are the biggest liars of them all." Chasing out the demon of fatness became such a big deal that Oral Roberts University put it on their crest. We are educating the whole person, mind, spirit, and body. They emphasize body so much that if you were a female attending that university and you had over 20% body fat, yes, they measured it, you got sent to the dean's office for disciplinary action. You can only be thankful if you look a certain way. I know I talked to Miston about this, and she told me when she was a young person growing up in her Christian circle that the women were supposed to look a very certain way. So she had to dress a certain way. From an early age, you were putting on makeup because there was a certain look that was required if you wanted to be a good Christian woman in her Christian circle. I ran in a different Christian circle as well. I remember one time I went to this evangelistic crusade, and there was this dude, this man's man there. He was a black belt in karate, and he was a Vietnam War veteran, so he was like guns and muscles and machismo, you know, and he was doing all these illustrations, yeah, and breaking bricks and kicking, and he had a sword. I remember he had a sword. He's like, yeah, Jesus, and he got to preaching, and he started to say, you know, the youth of America, you've gone downhill. You're fat and flabby and lazy. You're debauched. You're full of immorality and all sorts of degradation. I remember he was preaching like this, and he says, you know why? You know why this is happening to America? You know why America's youth are lost and on their way to hell? It's because of the chicken. I was like, what? It's because of the chicken? What chicken? He was not joking. Okay? So here, in his mind, the demon was in the meat of America. It has been so polluted with all sorts of stuff that if you take it, you're going to commit immorality. And you're going to be lazy. And you're going to be worthless. And so he had a vision of how life was supposed to be. You were supposed to look like him. Trim, muscular, and fit as a fiddle. And so by the end of the sermon, he was pushing something called the Daniel diet. No meat. And he had us marching, and he's like, now, soldiers, we need to join forces and become part of the Daniel diet. And who among you will dare to sit down and not take this Daniel diet? I was like, not me, this bro gonna kill me. So God help me, I became a vegetarian for 1 month. I tried for a month. Now, it's comical looking back. But when I was young and impressionable at that time, right, there's a certain look. And you can't be thankful to God unless you look that way. It's a big thing in lots of Christian circles. You have to look a certain way. I just want to conclude by talking about this. Maybe it's not the beauty industry, it's the air we breathe, so it's around us, so I'm sure it's affecting all of us. And there's something that's happened in your life. Someone said something, you saw something, you've done something, and you're convinced that you are not wonderfully made. You're convinced you're ugly. You're worthless. You're fat in the negative sense. And of course we know that we all need fat. We all desperately need body fat. But you're convinced that you're fat in the negative way. And so you're convinced that you are not wonderfully made? Can I just appeal to you to realize that that is a lie from the pit of hell, and that lie needs to go back to hell from whence it came. All right. You're wonderfully made. You say, well, I got this imperfection. I got this problem. No. You're here. You made it. So many didn't. You're alive. God has wonderfully made you. Believe that. Maybe you're here and you're so caught up in diet culture or the air of diet culture that you found that you're not able to really enjoy life. Can't eat that, can't do that, can't be this, got to look a certain way, got to wear a certain type of clothing, got to do this, got to do that, and you're so focused that you cannot enjoy life. Send that lie right back to the hell where it came from. Okay? Enjoy your life. And then maybe you grew up in bad religion like Misty and me, others. Maybe you went to Oral Roberts University, I don't know. And you've kind of come to the conclusion in your life that you can only be thankful if you look a certain way. And I want you to realize that that's not true. Okay? What I want you to believe, what I'm praying for you to believe, is number one, you're wonderfully made. Believe that. Enjoy the life that God has given you. Really. You see the fall leaves. God, they're so beautiful. I'm going to take joy in that. You have a wonderful meal. You don't feel guilty. You eat it. And the dessert. It's not going to kill you. You're fine. You don't forget to say thanks. You thank God for everything that happens, especially the Redeemer. And as we close with the Redeemer in mind, with Jesus in mind, I want you to ask Jesus to help you throw these lies away. He don't want you to have them.